For BamaCentral.com, I'm Joey Blackwell here with Tony Tsoukalas and Katie Wyndham, and this is 3 and Out. It was another big recruiting weekend for Alabama football this past weekend, as several high-profile recruits visited campus, including none other than, obviously, five-star quarterback Arch Manning, who's kind of took the recruiting world by storm over this past year. Manning has three visits. Actually, he last weekend took a visit to Georgia. This past weekend he was at Alabama, and this next weekend he is at Texas. Tony, is Alabama still in the race for Arch Manning, given all the quarterback competition with the Crimson Tide?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people would like to say no after Alabama received a commitment from Eli Holstein, who will probably also end up as a five-star quarterback and one of the top quarterbacks in this class. I think there's been a notion that, Arch Manning's not going to want to share the spotlight with Holstein, or, he's going to want to be his own show. I think there's a lot of things to consider, though. I don't think that when you look at a guy like Arch Manning, I don't know if he's going to be afraid of competition. Anywhere he goes, I think he's going to think that he's the best, and he has reason to. So the same way that Holstein wasn't scared about the potential of Alabama still going after Arch Manning, I think these kids, they embrace competition and they don't really shy away from it. That being said, I mean, even when you do look at the competition, you got to look at it more than just Eli Holstein. I think when you look at, you mentioned the three schools, you've got Georgia, Alabama, and Texas. One could argue that the school that has Arch Manning would have the most competition would be Texas, because Stetson Bennett will be gone from Georgia next offseason. Bryce Young will be gone from Alabama, but Texas is going to have a starter, whether it's Hudson Card or Quinn Ewers, two great quarterbacks. One's a redshirt sophomore, one's a redshirt freshman. One of those guys is going to start this year, and if he does a good job, it's a lot harder to beat out a returning starter than it is to beat out an incoming recruit when you're also an incoming recruit. So I think that's something to consider. I would think Alabama is still in it. I don't think that they're the favorite. And if I had to make a prediction, I don't think I'd pick Arch Manning to Alabama, but I definitely think the Crimson Tide's still in it. You heard some positive rumblings coming out of this visit, and the Mannings are kind of keeping things close to the vest. But I think Alabama's still in it. And while not being the favorites, I think that they still have a chance.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, Tony, and something that most people probably haven't really considered. And so while I do agree that Alabama is still in it and is probably not the favorite, I just don't necessarily see it happening as much. Like you said, Bryce Young is leaving, but Alabama does also have Jalen Milroe and Ty Simpson in this year's class, who was a highly touted quarterback. And then, like you said, also Eli Holstein coming in, that's in the same class as Arch Manning. But also, like you said, these kids aren't afraid of competition. That's what they all think they're the best. And so they're not afraid to compete with other people. And we've also seen, now with the way the transfer portal works and transfer rules, that if a player goes somewhere and it doesn't work out, they can pretty easily switch schools, which, none of these five-star guys are necessarily going to want to do that, but also don't think they're afraid of the competition. But, clearly Alabama is still in the running. Just the fact that, he was in Tuscaloosa this weekend, had a visit. But I don't necessarily think that Alabama is going to be the best fit for him, which, it's kind of interesting seeing online the last couple of weeks, some of the reactions of Alabama fans. Some do want that Manning name and some don't, because of the history of Peyton and Eli Manning, and of course his grandfather Archie. So it's for sure going to be an interesting recruiting battle to watch going forward.
Arch will obviously be a huge get for any coach that gets him on his team. Kirby Smart is notorious for not being able to recruit high-profile quarterbacks. It'd be a huge get for him at Georgia. Obviously, that would probably be the biggest recruit that Steve Sarkisian's ever had during his time at Texas. And obviously, Arch Manning Alabama duo would bring a lot of headlines. For BamaCentral.com, I'm Joey Blackwell with Tony Tsoukalas and Katie Wyndham, and this has been 3 and Out. Thank you so much for watching.